In this video, we'll cover parameter properties. So TypeScript offers a shortcut syntax for creating constructors. It helps to minimize some of the boilerplate code for constructors and also for defining and assigning properties. So let's take a look at the traditional approach of creating a constructor. So we have the constructor, we have two params coming in, and then inside of the constructor, we assign those params to the given properties. But TypeScript offers a really cool shortcut, and we'll take a look at it. So here's the traditional approach on the left-hand side. And then here's the shortcut. So notice here we have these parameter properties. So for our constructor, we have our two parameters, but note the access modifier. So we have private underscore first name, comma, private underscore last name. So what this does is basically defines the properties and also assigns them at the same time. So this minimizes the boilerplate coding. Doing a comparison here, we see the traditional approach on the left-hand side, and then this shortcut here, we're using parameter properties. So this is effectively the same level of coding. So by using the parameter properties, you get this same functionality in the background. So you get the properties defined and also assigning the properties automatically. So it makes your life a little bit easier when it comes to setting up your class. I really like this feature. Alrighty, now let's take a look at parameter properties in action. So here's our class customer with our constructor using parameter properties. And so again, remember, it defines the properties and assigns them automatically, minimizes that boilerplate coding. And then we simply use it. And so to the program that uses this class, everything else works the same. There's nothing different. So we simply create a new instance. We pass in the first name, last name. We can access properties, so on and so forth. So everything else works fine. The only difference here is that for the actual customer class, when we define it or create it, we can make use of the parameter properties and save on some of the boilerplate coding. So it just makes our life a little bit easier. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and move into our IDE and let's test out this coding. Okay, so let's get started. Again, the first thing we want to do is some housekeeping work, just copy pasting our previous project. And I'll rename the project to O4 parameter properties. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and open up the customer.ts file in our O4 parameter properties folder. So we'll remove the traditional coding for the constructor and make use of parameter properties, that nice shortcut to help minimize that boilerplate code. Alrighty, so I'll just grab this property here for first name and I'll cut it and I'll replace the param there. This is now going to be a parameter property. And I'll do a similar thing here for private last name. Just cut that portion and then paste it right here. And then I'll clean up lines 3 and 4. And then the internal assignments, no need to do that because we're making use of parameter properties. All of that work happens behind the scenes by TypeScript. It's all done auto-magically. I love it. So this is the old code here in white. And then what we have in our editor, that's the new code using parameter properties shortcut. And I'll move down here. So we have our constructor. That's fine. I'll get rid of lines 26 and 27. They don't really apply to this example. Let's just open up a terminal window and let's move into that directory for O4 parameter properties. And the first thing I'll do here is I'll simply do a clean, just so I can remove some of the old JavaScript code. So I'll say tsc build clean, and that'll remove the .js files there. Okay, good. And now I'll simply do a normal tsc to compile the code. And now we can go ahead and run the code. We'll get the same output as before because we're constructing this object using parameter properties. So the only difference here is that we kind of cleaned up some of our coding. We got rid of the traditional constructor code and we made use of the parameter properties as that nice TypeScript shortcut.